In this video, we're going to be talking about the 3 keys to build a better backswing for more consistency. Hey everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you here. I'm excited to share with you my 3 keys here for a better backswing. Before we get into that, I just wanted to make an announcement. We launched our online community, the Epic online community. If you want more information, please just click the link down below. You'll learn more about it. It's a great place. Lots of drills, tips, leaderboards, things like that that you can be a part of. So let's go ahead. We're going to start talking today about our 3 keys to a better backswing. So we all know a better backswing can lead to more consistency, makes it easier to go into the downswing, and we have a lot better time hitting the ball straight, far, all those good things. So we're going to be talking about the backswing in 3 parts, and so we'll start with the first one here as we go through a backswing. And if I'm going to have a good backswing, and this is probably one of the more fatal flaws that I see people have, is I need to get my wrists working in the proper direction. All right, so what do I typically see from people when they go to make a golf swing and they're trying to work their wrists? So what I'm going to see is people will bring the club back and they're going to work their wrists and they're going to let them roll, and their forearms are going to roll. And so what's going to happen is they're going to get a club that lays back, and from there you're in a lot of trouble. You're going to have to do a lot of compensations throughout your swing to be able to fix that or get the club back to the ball in any way that would work consistently. So from there, what do we rather see? Well, I would rather see my wrists work the club back in a feeling where my right wrist is going to bend back. So we're going to get this bending back of the right wrist, and this left wrist, because of that, is going to start to flex or bow. So it's going to be something like this. Now, if I do that correctly, what's going to happen is this club's going to come back and it's going to get into a position where I like, where it's outside my hands. It hasn't gone too far inside. It might even be right on my hands. That's okay. But we definitely don't want it too far inside, because as we continue to the top, we're going to have to do some really funky things to get the club anywhere where we'd like it to be. But again, the first part is back, wrists. Just feel like your right wrist pulls back, left wrist is going to flex a little bit. When you do this, you don't want to get your left wrist cupped. If you do that, you're going to run into some issues. You're going to have an issue where if I'm trying to keep this club face fairly square, cupping this wrist is going to really open it up. So if you're a slicer out there, that's a major issue that we'll see people have, is when they start going back, boom, that wrist is going into what we would call a extended position. So we've started with, all right, first move that we don't like to see too much forearm roll, really too much action going on. Want to keep it very simple. Your wrists start to do a little bit of hinging, a little bit of work, all right? And again, we get those feels. From there, if we do that correctly, what we can start to look at is how our shoulders work. Now, most people will look at shoulder turn and they're thinking about my motion where I am turning back like this. Now, that's going to be something we look at in a second, but that's not what shoulder rotation is. Shoulder rotation is simply my ability to take my arm and rotate my shoulder within my shoulder socket. So that's a critical distinction that you need to have, because when you go to actually make a golf swing, we want proper shoulder rotation. But again, it's not what most people think. So what is proper shoulder rotation? Well, when we start that club back, again, if we bring it back and it looks pretty good, okay, what we would like to see from this position, we're going to focus on our trail shoulder. What we'd like to see is this shoulder to start working its way up into a position where it almost feels like your right wrist is bending back still, like you're going to hold a tray up. That's a great feel to be able to see what it's like to get this club and your arm and your shoulder in a good position at the top. When I do that, you're going to notice too, my left wrist tends to be a little bit more flat or even bowed, which is another desired position I know people would like. But getting this club up here with some shoulder rotation is critical, okay? So if I was just to do those two parts of a backswing, this is kind of what it would look like. Club would come back, be just outside my hands, maybe on it. From here, it would feel much like a lift. It would feel a lot like a lift from this point. And so my arms would be way out, kind of almost in front of my toes. The club would be out there, which isn't where we want it to be, but we'll get to that in a sec. So again, shoulder rotation is this move. When we go back, we want to see that arm work in this direction. So we've got two there. We got the wrist, we've got our shoulder movement. So now we get to, what do we do to build the third part of our backswing? Well, if our goal is to get this club to travel from the inside, all right, if we're trying to, let's say we want to hit a draw, or we just want to see this club shallow out, we want to make sure we get what we call a little depth in our swing. So this is where, that traditional shoulder rotation comes in. Now, what I think about is more thoracic rotation, all right? Trying to get this upper part of our spine to rotate a little bit. Again, if it's shoulder rotation for you, okay, that's fine, but just know that there's a difference between that and then this motion that we need in our swing to get to a good backswing position. So we would work on now adding in a little bit of thoracic rotation. So again, if I go back, step one, bring it back, right wrist bends back, left wrist kind of bows down. Some people will do it more than others. So we go here, some shoulder rotation. Now if I add some thoracic rotation, all of a sudden, boom, we're where we would like to be with a backswing, and I'm ready to go. I can deliver that club from the inside, and now I'm ready to go. What's good about that is now you actually, when you're working on your backswing, what you're trying to do is you want to have whatever you want on the downswing, you're looking for that to be built up in the backswing because you want to let that go. So if you're trying to, let's say you want to have more rotation into your downswing, well, you better have some rotation on the way back to let it go, to rotate on the way through, or else you're going to run into a lot of problems. So again, 3 parts to a better backswing. First one, here, shoulder rotation up, and then thoracic turn, right? So that's where we're going to get this club. We like to see that club, right over our right shoulder, our trail shoulder, all those good positions. That's going to let us do a lot of things. Now, a couple of things that you're going to want to do. One, we took it in 3 parts. Your goal is to see if you can start blending those together. You wouldn't want to do it necessarily all in step 1, step 2, step 3. So that would be something you would work on. I'm going to give you a drill here in a sec for that. But something else to think about is there's a lot of ways to do a backswing. So I will see players that want to take it back and they actually want to get internal with the shoulder. So they're not trying to do an external rotation, which is all fine. There's a lot of ways to swing a golf club. The only thing that I would caution about doing that is that shoulder in early transition is going to have to go external and then it's going to have to work. So to me, that's a lot of movement in a very short amount of time. Something that I think would take a lot of practice, a lot of effort to really get to where I could take that on the course and play with it. So we're giving you what I think is the most simple, easiest way to swing a golf club and get you in a position to be able to hit balls better today and within the fastest amount of time possible. So said we wanted to give you a drill to blend all this together. Okay, so that's going to be one of the harder things as you work through is, all right, you got your pieces. So we need to be able to blend all of this together. All right, so what I like to do, though, I'm going to give you 2. One that I like to do is, and you've seen some players on the tours do this in the past, and they've actually played golf with this drill. I actually have a student that plays with a variation of this drill, plays very well. It's cut 30 shots off of her game by doing this just because it makes sense to her and it's easier. If it works, do it, right? So what we'll do is we'll actually just go step 1 first, and from here, I'm just going to combine steps 2 and 3. I'm going to go shoulder rotation, thoracic rotation. Get it back there. So it's 1, 2. Okay? So I'm already starting to shrink the steps down and blend them together. Another one that we can do if you really want to get a feel for it, I can take this club and I'm going to hinge it back up on my shoulder here, okay? Now, when I turn back, I can push this club out and get to my position. Again, this right wrist will be bent back, kind of in that feeling of having a tray. That's another good way to do it. And then from there, after you've done a couple of drills to get a feel for kind of how all the pieces move together, we're going to just take it in and I'm going to start to put it together into a swing. So hit that one pretty okay. We'll work at it and we'll do it again and again and again. Getting a feel for how we blend this together is going to be critical. So again, we're going to do another one here. So as I go back, I might rehearse it, come down, okay? There we go. And all of a sudden it's going to start blending together, getting a feel for, all right, I don't have so many missing parts, I don't have so many choppy feelings, and now all of a sudden we're going to be able to take this out to the golf course and we're going to be able to play. So again, 3 keys to a perfect backswing, something that you can work with, hopefully help make your game a little bit better, make yourself a little bit more consistent in how you get the club back there, so you're really consistent on how you bring it down. So again, if you like this tip, please make sure you click the subscribe button down below. We would love to have you a part of our Epic community, which you'll see down below as well. And again, if you have any comments, we'd love to hear which one of the pieces of your downswing or your downswing that you're looking to help out by having a better backswing. Are you looking to get the club more shallow? Are you struggling with it too steep? Why do you want your backswing to be better so that way you can have a better downswing? That's always what the key is in golf. What are we going to be doing? So we'd love to hear your thoughts about, all right, what part of your downswing this helped by working on your backswing, and then we also can work on moving forward, going through those parts as well. So again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.